Hey everyone, again, this is Ed Gutowski. I wanted to create a video that basically talks a little bit about some of the novels that we're going to use for class. Notice I put pictures above my head on this video of the books we're going to use, and again, some authors that I consider to be significant writers of literature. So one of the things you should know, first of all, is, right, as I mentioned in one of the modules, is that I've made a link where all of the books, you can find them free online. And basically, it's up to you to decide whether or not you want to, read the books online or using an e-reader, or if you want to buy hard copies. Now, the books are required for class, all of them required for class. You don't really have to buy the textbook for class because, again, there's a PDF link that is a link to our textbook. So again, it's just a matter of whether or not you want to read it online as a PDF file. But if you want a hard copy, you can also buy a hard copy at the bookstore. So, one of the things that we're going to do in our class is we're going to look at some of the great writers of literature. And there's a book that I've been using recently called Light and Snow by Anita Shreve. And she's a real contemporary writer that has gotten a lot of attention for a variety of reasons. And so it's going to be up for our class to really kind of determine whether or not Anita Shreve should be considered one of the great writers of American literature. Now, above my head, you're going to notice that there are two writers that have really established themselves in the canon of literature as being some of the great writers of literature of our time. So the first one is John Updike, and I'm a huge John Updike fan. Updike's probably one of the great writers of the last half of the 20th century. He basically won every single major award for literature except for the Nobel Prize for Literature. And people were basically arguing that, Updike was going to win the Nobel Prize for Literature, but he passed away, I think, in 2009 before he was able to win the Nobel Prize for Literature. We'll read one of his short stories that students tend to like called A and P. And the other writer, she's a national treasure, is Toni Morrison. And Toni Morrison is one of the great African-American women writers of literature. She's the first African-American woman writer to win the Nobel Prize for Literature for her novel Beloved. And Beloved is amazing. I mean, I would argue that Beloved is probably the second most significant novel of the 20th century, only behind James Joyce and his novel Ulysses. But, when we come to Anita Shreve, we're going to start out looking at Light and Snow. And Light and Snow is a really intriguing book because Shreve likes to start off her books kind of as mysteries. So the novel starts off and we're somewhere in New England, we're somewhere in like New Hampshire, we're in the middle of nowhere, we're in nature, and it's starting to snow. And the snow is kind of getting really, really heavy. And in the middle of this snowstorm, out starts to walk these two people. It's a father and a daughter. And we don't know really anything about them, right? We don't know who they are, what are they doing out, and the snow is starting to fall. But what we do know is that every day at the same time, they walk this same path. And they're basically trying to get to this brick wall. And once they get to the brick wall, they turn around and go home. And they've been doing this every day for a couple of months. We don't know why. And they try to get there before the sun sets. And so as they're walking through the snow, they aren't really talking much to each other. We don't really know who they are. It's just a father and a daughter. And the snow is getting kind of thick and it's kind of getting heavy. And it's really the way that Shreve describes this. It's like something out of a Robert Frost poem. And as they're walking through the snow and the snow is getting heavier, they hear this sound. And the father says to the daughter, "Do you hear that sound? What's that sound?" "I don't know. It sounds like something crying. What is it? Is it a wolf? Is it a coyote?" And they keep walking, and they're walking through the snow, and they can hear this crying. And then all of a sudden, off in the distance, they hear this car kind of drive off. And as they're walking, they walk towards the crying sound, and what they find is that someone's left a baby abandoned in the snow. And it's from there that the novel really kind of transforms, and we kind of find out all these questions. Who are this father and daughter? Why are they out there? Who left this baby out in the snow? And Shreve is a really interesting writer, right? Because she's asking questions from the reader, right? She's asking us to have an understanding of characters. And I think her biggest strength really is her development of characters. Who are these characters? What are they struggling with? We don't really know the struggles that others are going through. And she's really doing something that we'll talk about when we get into the novel that deals with asking us to have empathy for others, even though sometimes the other people that she's asking us to have empathy have done terrible things. It's a really fun book. I found that students have really liked Anita Shreve. And throughout the class, we're going to kind of analyze her work and ask, does she deserve to be up there with writers such as John Updike and Toni Morrison? The second book that we'll read is Maus, which is a graphic novel on the Holocaust. And so we'll talk a little bit about Holocaust literature. And Maus is a really powerful novel. I mean, I found that it has touched me in ways other Holocaust works have not. There's a lot of controversy about Maus, whether a graphic novel can capture the horrors of the Holocaust. But I've really found that students have really liked Maus, that it's a really powerful novel. And then we can talk about whether or not a graphic novel is an appropriate work to either look at the Holocaust or bring into an introduction to literature class. Originally, I was going to teach Shakespeare's Henry V, but because we're an 8-week class, I've decided not to, and we're going to look at 2 short plays that will be found in that introduction to literature, the Backpacker's Guide to Literature. So again, you can buy that if you want a hard copy, or there's that free copy, just depending on whether or not you want to read it online. But I just wanted to kind of give you an introduction to the novels that we're going to look at. And for this discussion board question, I just kind of want to know what you thought of my description of Light and Snow, and what you maybe thought of this video overall. But week 1 is going to be a lot of fun. I tried to make it fairly easy, and then it'll get more complex as we go. I know an 8-week class seems like it can go really, really fast. I sometimes look at the 8 weeks classes as like you're taking a quarter system at the UC system. Courses go by quick. They're about 9 weeks, so we're about 8 weeks. But it does all work out, and if you put all the effort in, you will thrive in my class. So I look forward to seeing what you write for week 1, and feel free to email me if you have any questions.